Are you interested in shooting your pistol better? In this video, I'll share 10 tips that will take your performance to the next level. Hi, I'm Miles here at Tactical Hyve, and we teach a lot of classes. We see a lot of students out in our classes, and we attend a lot of classes on our own. And we see common trends among different students and what's really helping them improve. So what I want to do is create this video and share the top 10 tips to help you shoot much better. Keep in mind, this is not an exhaustive list, and depending on your skill level, some of these tips will be more pertinent and relevant to you than other tips. Anyways, this is our top 10. The first 5 tips are going to revolve around actual shooting skill sets. And the first one is really important, and that is to see what you need to see, specifically having visual patience. When people shoot, whether it's an iron sight or a red dot, a lot of beginners tend to get overexcited and will break a shot before their sights are on target. So they most likely are going to miss. Sometimes they might get lucky, but most of the time they're going to miss. So you need to make sure that when you are presenting your gun and you're about to take a shot, that you are seeing exactly what you need to see with your iron sight or your red dot before you break the shot to ensure an accurate hit. The second tip is to prep your trigger. You want to use this tip if you have the time and space to do so. When you're not surprised, maybe you have some distance from a threat or a target, and you don't need to engage immediately. Again, you have some time and space. Almost every gun has some slack, and you want to get to the wall or stage that trigger before you break the shot. This will give you the best opportunity or the best chance to land an accurate shot because the gun will actually go bang when you want it to go bang. If I pull the trigger without taking up the slack, when I want the gun to go bang, there's still all this time and space before the gun will actually shoot. So when my mind says go, the gun actually doesn't go bang. So that's the second tip. Make sure you stage your trigger if you have the time and space to do so. The third tip is to learn how to isolate your trigger finger. A lot of beginner and intermediate shooters, and this happens to even advanced shooters, will tend to move their other fingers or even their body when they plan to break a shot. That added movement can cause your bullet to veer someplace where you didn't want it to. So you need to learn to just move your finger straight to the rear to break that shot. One specific exercise to learn how to just move your trigger finger is to use a dummy round or a coin and put it on the front sight of your pistol. And what you want to do is you're going to present that pistol, break the shot, and try to do so without having that coin or dummy round fall. Once you've graduated from that, then you can just look at your red dot or your iron sights, pull the trigger when you're doing dry fire, and see if there's any movement in your sights. The goal is to try to squeeze your trigger without having any movement in your red dot or your iron sights. That's going to help ensure that when you break the shot, you're not adding extra movement that might make your shot go somewhere you did not intend it to go. On to tip number 4. You want to have a really firm grip, one that's so firm that you're going to help prevent the gun from moving in a crazy way within your hands. So if I was firing with, let's say, just one hand here, when I shoot the gun, I don't want this gun moving separate from my hand as much as possible. If it was 2 hands, I don't want this gun moving when, let's say, my support hand is not moving at all. So I want to treat the gun and my hands as one unit. So you have to have a really firm grip. And by doing so, you'll increase your performance when taking multiple shots because your sights and your gun will move in a predictable and more consistent manner. So once again, we do not want to have our gun move without our hand moving along with it in one unit. So you have to have a really firm grip. Now tip number 5, and that is to lock your wrists. If you've been shooting for a while, you've probably heard of limp wristing. And what this is going to do is it's going to affect your follow-up shots. So what you want to do is lock your wrists as much as possible so that the muzzle rise is not so high and it is going to track or move more predictably and consistently. This also is going to help you a lot with your follow-up shots because no longer do you have to wait so long in between shots for that muzzle or your sights to be on target. So remember to lock your wrists. All right, so we're going to be moving on to tips 6 and 10, which primarily revolve around training. The first 5 tips focus more on hard skills, shooting skills. But before we get to tips 6 through 10, we want to thank CCW Safe for bringing you today's video. If you're a gun owner and you do not have self-defense protection, make sure to check them out. They're not like many other legal protection companies out there who might just write you a check if you get into trouble. If you ever get into an incident, they will hold your hand through the entire process and even send a representative to walk you through everything. So make sure to check them out in the description below. We also want to thank Vetter Holsters, Laser Ammo, and Dry Fire Mag for helping us continue to provide this free content to you. Now to tip number 6. The next 5 tips revolve around training. That said, here's tip number 6, and that is to dry fire realistically. What do I mean by that? Specifically for tip number 6, I'm talking about gripping the gun as you would when shooting live ammo. So when you're shooting on a live fire range, because there's going to be this little explosion in your hand, you're going to be gripping the gun firmly and consistently. And assuming you're doing things correctly, you want to memorize the amount of pressure that you're putting in the gun and use that same amount of pressure during dry fire. If you do not, and if you start holding your gun very lightly in dry fire, when you start doing live fire drills, your performance is not going to be very great. So you want to dry fire realistically. Know the amount of pressure you're supposed to have, where you're supposed to be applying that pressure from live fire, and copy it exactly during your dry fire sessions. Tip number 7 is to take advantage of the different dry fire training systems that are out on the market. We've created lots of videos on this, and do you need these systems to get better? No, but they can really help you improve much faster, and they make training much more enjoyable. The reason being is a lot of these tools that are out there are made to focus in on specific skill sets and help you improve faster with those skill sets. So you don't necessarily need them, but they can be very helpful. So we do recommend investing in some dry fire training tools. Tip number 8 is to shoot competitions. Even if you're not in it to win a competition, you're going to get a lot of reps in a very dynamic environment where you can run to different positions, shoot multiple targets, shoot different kinds of targets that you're not going to see at your typical indoor range. In addition, you're going to get more experienced shooters helping you out, giving you pointers. And this is a great cost-effective way to get lessons because a competition will probably cost you anywhere from $20 to $40 on average, and you will have a whole day of fun and practice with different types of targets and different courses of fire with a lot more experienced shooters who are willing to help you. So we highly recommend competitions regardless of whether you're in it to actually win it. You're going to get a lot of practice, a lot of reps, and a lot of assistance. Tip number 9, if you have the budget, absolutely try to take private lessons. There's no better way to learn and improve quickly than to have the undivided attention of a really good instructor. You'll be able to work on specific skill sets that you are deficient in, you'll be able to hone your strengths, and you can ask questions regarding your own performance. You don't have to wait for the instructor to look at other students and correct their different techniques. You have their undivided attention. So if you have the opportunity, definitely jump on private lessons. And the last tip is to surround yourself with like-minded people and those who are better than you. In practically every activity, this is one of the cheat codes to getting better. If you're surrounded by people who are like-minded and are always trying to get better, naturally, you're going to want to get better too because most people want to stay aligned with everyone else in the group. If you don't have access physically in person with a group, perhaps you live on the other side of the world or a place where there's not a lot of people into firearms, look into online communities. At Tactical Hyve, we have the War Room community, which you guys can get more information in the link below. And it's a community where protectors, sheepdogs, people into self-defense are sharing ideas, tactics, techniques, so that everyone can improve. So do your best to find people that you can train with or you can bounce ideas off. That is really going to help you take your skills to the next level fast. So that wraps up our 10 tips to help you shoot better. Remember, this is not an exhaustive list, and this is based on what we see among all the students that we've taught and all the classes we've attended. Of course, some of these tips may be more relevant to you depending on your skill level, while others may not, but I'm sure one of these tips will help you really improve your shooting. I hope you guys liked the video, and as always, if you guys have questions or you have more tips, let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.